Hey everybody, hope you're doing real well today. Wanted to talk a little bit about the NPC topic. A lot of opinions out there on this. Wanted to give you my thoughts. Leave your comments below of what you think. I don't think anybody really knows the truth, of course, on this, but it's interesting to kind of go over and share our experiences as well as our observations. So here are mine. So are NPCs even real? And what are some reasons we believe someone is an NPC? Well, to start with, an appeal to authority no matter what. They're shown evidence contrary to popular belief, so they dismiss things. They deny, they get angry, and or they don't even want to look. There's also no valid explanation given for why they dismiss the evidence. They point the finger at you as if you're the cause of all their misery. They also appear to judge you as if you're simply detached from reality, even though they're the ones who seem to take care only of the necessities of life with no interest in opening their minds and seeing what's all around them. NPCs tend to seek approval from others. They also have very little interest in paving their own way in life or being independent. Like a magnet, they get stuck within what is deemed acceptable and appropriate behavior. And do they ask themselves how and why these behaviors are deemed appropriate? And should they be the norm in, quote, society? Or do they simply value decisions about norms based on numbers and what is being presented on television, radio, and other forms of media? I think we pretty much know the answer to that one. So, once an NPC, always an NPC? Well, I'm not sure what that really means exactly. If in fact there are spiritless bodies amongst us, then for sure the NPC will always be an NPC. At least that appears logical. If by NPC we mean more of kind of like a personality or some sort of cover or mask of a soul or spirit, then perhaps it is possible to remove that and become acquainted with the true essence of who that individual truly is. In many ways, I could have been considered an NPC early on in my life, especially pre-adult, workforce entry, 12 years of government schooling, 4 years of college. That definitely can keep things a little bit muddy. But I always tended to go against the grain. I was not interested in what others were typically interested in. I was more concerned about fulfilling my desires, one of which was to ponder the question of what happens when I die? Where do I go? Where did I come from? Before this life experience, of course. And another question that I could never forget was, what is time? When did it start? When does it end? I just can't imagine. Does time even exist? I think many of us have pondered these questions, and I think that's partially why we're here on this platform and others. So, if an NPC is simply not programmed to be an NPC, what is holding them back from independent thought and critical thinking? That sense of wonder and adventure, the ability to see beyond what is popular and deemed sane or right, as well as a certain open-mindedness that most of us couldn't live without. I know I couldn't. The answer that pops into my head right away is simply fear. Fear of change, fear of pain and suffering, fear of inconvenience, having to rethink their whole lives, their line of work, friends, relationships, interests, the very identity they have worked their entire lives to achieve. It's like you hit a certain age where, if forced to open your mind, you could not survive. You get used to the way that things are. There's simply no interest in truth seeking. There never was and likely never will be. That fire that burns within is kindled by something different, something artificial. It has no substance, no future. So should we seek to help the common NPC, which really appears to be the common man, doctors, teachers, businessmen and women, beacons of our quote society. I don't know. Maybe. I would say do the best you can to set the example. Let the cards fall where they may. I hear some say, I'm sure many of you have, 90% or more are NPCs, but I'm not sure. I've considered that. But I'm not so sure, especially if this is an energy farm. Why would they only want 10% or so of us? Perhaps that's all they need. I would imagine they need some placeholders to keep the deception and illusions going. A certain percentage of, quote, people to automatically go along with whatever psyop they're currently running. In order to trick and deceive the, quote, real people like you and I. My gut tells me there may be some who are, quote, NPCs, but perhaps not as many as we might think. So there might be 30% or 20%. I really have no idea. In a year or two or even months from now, I might have a completely different perspective on it. For now, I feel there's more spirits and more spirits that can be awakened. But the sad reality is that they are locked in a box. They basically threw away the key. It could be too late for them. They have to want it. And they must be the one to find that key. So let me know how many NPCs you think there are and why. This phrase or label gets thrown around a lot, and it seems sort of dehumanizing, but I do understand how frustrating it is to live in a world of lies and deception, feeling alone and unheard. Feeling like you've always been this way, the way that you are right now, and it's others, they've changed. It's like everyone is walking towards the edge of a cliff, and you yell out, "Hey, watch out! Watch yourself! You're gonna fall." But they keep walking, and at that moment, you ask yourself, "Well, why am I even here? And who am I anyway?" Have a good night, everyone.